because in another year, I don't know how much I'm gonna remember.
I'm working at it.
What?
I'm working at it to
To keep,
remember.
yeah, I know you are, and some stuff works. I didn't know this was gonna be a nail salon here tonight, but I guess it is. Anyhow, somebody told me, well, you better get organized a little bit. So I've got 3 pages of notes, and you can come and go, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to go way back to start, and that will be with my father and mother's parents. And you can judge for yourself. I think I see some reasons why I am the way I am. And Mama back there she will cut me off with the knee. It's a pavement. My mother's parents, the man's name was Bastian. That's Dutch. But it sounds like tough turkey to me, Bastian. And that's what he was. He was very gruff, had a big walrus mustache, and he loved my grandmother very much. And there just happened to be 10 sons and daughters in that family.
So did he show her affection like hugging or patting her bottom?
I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue.
No idea.
No.
Your grandfather.
He wasn't there taking notes.
On your mother's side. On your mother's side.
Yes.
He said he loved her.
Anyway.
So the number shows that's how he loved her?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. My mother and the next one in the family were born the same year. Anyhow, there was
Can you
10.
say how that can be?
She was the oldest. His,
Yeah.
his
Yeah,
mother,
yeah.
She was born January 2, and
And
Anna
Anna
was
was-
born in December, same year.
oh my.
But Mom was left there as the oldest child. She was 19, and she was basically kind of caretaker of that family for a while.
After grandma.
After Grandma died of breast cancer. And even in those days, this was long ago, in a little town called Volga, South Dakota, which was Nowhereville. If anybody got sick in that family, I really didn't know it for many years, but they headed straight over to Rochester, Minnesota, which that was the home of
Mayo.
the Mayo Clinic. They didn't fool around and stop off in Brookings or someplace like that if somebody was really ill, and they knew it. Straight over to the Mayo Clinic, which in those days was the best health care in the U.S., period. Anyhow, Mom had to kind of take care of these kids, and she was sort of delegated or whatever. She took it on herself. She's going to keep them clothed. And so people would give them clothing, used. They didn't have Salvation Army then yet. None of that stuff, Goodwill. Give her clothes. Mom would take it apart and put it together to fit the next kid or whoever needed a pair of pants or a shirt or a coat. I basically didn't have very much bought-in clothes until I was in the 5th grade. Mom made pants, shirts, coats, the works. She was pretty good at it. The next person in line was told, you have to go to school. And so that...
She had to take piano lessons.
Oh, no, she had to take piano lessons. Mom took care of the other stuff. That lady had to take piano lessons because, you know, they didn't want kids to grow up just being dumb slobs on a farm. They wanted them to be something. And I get a kick out of that.
I think she had that shorter leg.
Yeah, and Anna was born with a leg that was short, and she had that much buildup on the bottom of her shoe, on the left foot. then Bastian said, you know, I've got to go back to Holland and get a wife. You know, being left with 10 kids, there's very few men that can handle that. And Bastian says, I'm going to Holland to find a wife. And some of the neighbors and members in church says, well, don't figure on getting anybody like Margie again. I'm named after her, after Margie. Well, he did it anyhow because he's Dutch, he's a man, he knows that. He went to Holland and came home empty-handed. And then in those days, there was a widow in Grand Rapids, Michigan with 4 sons. And that's tough because there's no Social Security, there's no health care, there's no state aid, and that's almost as bad as 10 kids. And she came west to Volga, South Dakota from Michigan, and they hit it off, but she was independent, and he was independent. And so we have a picture. I don't know if it's a wedding photo or what, but Bastian is standing here. And what is Mrs. Langcake's name?
I don't remember.
And she is standing about here.
Clapp is the last name.
So,
Clapp is the last.
yeah, the last name is Clapp, C-L-A-P-P. So that gives you some indication of what it was like, but they got along well. Today, you always hear squawking between stepsons and stepsisters and stuff like that. My mother said those 4 boys came in there and we just all played together as a bunch. They loved each other. And later on, one of my sisters married one of those boys, that sort of thing. But the part is they got along together. And nowadays, in some extended families that we know of, it doesn't happen. It's too bad. My father's parents, mom's parents, I think they were immigrants, but all the sons and daughters were born in America and stuff like that. They were dirt poor. World War I, they raised a lot of Navy beans that was sold to the U.S. Army for food for soldiers in World War I. And other little things, they had a tiny little farm near Volga.
Not army beans?
Navy beans. The little white beans. You should know what it is.
I do.
You bet. And so they made, as best they could. They married locally, and there was a lot of cancer in the family, I think hereditary from mother on down. My mother never had cancer. She was afraid of it. And other aunts and uncles did. There's usually a cause, smoking or secondhand smoke or, this and that. But they all lived to be 60, 70, 80, 90. The last member of that family passed away a couple years ago. That was in Volga, South Dakota. Now we shift to one last thing on Ma. There's a couple of brothers that were, they wanted to get out from under Bastian's thumb, so they went to California and stuff like that. And then they would tell stories that, when we were kids, these boys were some of the youngest in it. My mother's name was Tracy. That was the American version of some Dutch name that they couldn't pronounce.
It was Treintje.
Treintje.
Yeah.
And so when she got to school, the school teacher asked her name. And, okay, you're Tracy. That was it. anyhow, the boy said, you know, it would be, Trace, go see what Case is doing. Trace, where's Pete? And she had to be the controller.
Oh, Bastian did that, Grandma?
No.
Yeah, and some of the other brothers and sisters, you know, the boys were raising Cain in a civilized way, but Trace, what are they doing? And so she learned to be a controller, and I never thought she was until we moved to Sioux Center to take care of Mom and Dad when they were in the retirement center there and stuff like that. And then we got close up to Mom and Dad. And I said to Angie, you know what? And my mother was soft-spoken, mild-mannered, never raised her voice, very gentle, stuff like that, not flashy, but she kind of took hold of Dad. And I didn't know what we saw. Well, then we went to California one time, and there's a younger sister of my mother there, and I said, you know, Aunt Gert, is Ma kind of a controller? Oh, remember hearing her laugh? She laughed and she said, oh, she has controlled John since the day they were married. That was my father's name. Now, I've been accused of being a controller too, so maybe it came down.
Well, Dad loved it.
Oh, yeah,
He did
and
not.
I do too. You know, I'm controlled. Anyhow, shift to my father's parents. That whole family emigrated as a group from the Netherlands, and every son and daughter was asked, do you want to go to America? And in those days, Bastian, if he had 10 kids in Holland, he said, we're going to America. But my grandfather was not that way. My father wasn't that way because they were very mild-mannered, fair-minded men. And boy, I knew some doozies in their peer group. They were not that sweet. I'm very proud of my father and my grandfather. So they came to America as a group. My dad was next to the youngest. They landed on the East Coast, I think, before, what's the big immigration point? Ellis Island. I think they landed before Ellis Island. It was in New Jersey someplace.
No, they came into Alice Island.
They did.
Yeah,
They came to Alice.
Okay, I got that
yeah.
mixed up.
Debbie and Jennifer saw it.
That's
and
right.
it was-
They checked it out.
Yeah, and she got the picture of the boat.
But in those days, most Dutchmen always went west because in Holland, if you had land, you were at the top of the heap. People would, yes, all of that. And when they came to America, they thought they better try and get some land.
They didn't go there right away.
No, my grandparents did not. They stayed in Patterson, New Jersey, in the city. They came from a village in Holland. Ma and I saw it. I would guess that the population today is what, 400, Mom?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe 300. And here they are in Patterson, New Jersey. That's a city. And New York is right across the way, stuff like that. And I think they liked it. And among other things, the two oldest girls in the family, they went to work in silk factories, sewing dresses and stuff. I was told that one of my uncles was a pattern cutter there in that silk factory. And I was told that Uncle Minnow could cut out 6 patterns at a shot with his knife on the forefinger. The silk is very thin. And they like it. Those two ladies, we have a picture of them. We're not sure let me tell you, that would be the very early 20s, they were dressed they had class, style.
Who was that?
Aunt Trina, Aunt Sadie. And later in life, Aunt Trina could look at a sewing machine and the dress would come out. And but they also knew what style was. They just stepped into it. They were not noisy, show-off woman types. No, quiet, class. But anyhow, the oldest brother in the family was, he was kind of straightforward. He liked to be out and about, and he came out west, South Dakota, and he says, "Pa, we can get some land there. We'll move out there to Dakota, and we can be farmers." And in Holland, they were thinking, about farmers, you were kind of the upper crust. And some land agent took somebody to the cleaners, and they wound up at a bottomland farm along the Sioux River, Fairview, South Dakota, and that bottomland floods over, I would guess, 2 years out of 5, maybe more. And we think, oh my goodness. Anyhow, we have a picture of the farmhouse that they moved into. And my Aunt Trina is my grandmother is holding Alice Faber as a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old, I think a year-old baby, in her arm. And then there's other assorted aunts and uncles and husbands, and then there's 3 little kids on the ground in front. But Grandma is just grim-faced.
Grim-faced, yeah.
You bet. And my cousin, Alice Faber, said she was told that when Grandma left the city, Patterson, New Jersey, and wound up there in the river bottom land at Fairview, she never smiled again. And there's something to that, because I don't recall seeing her smile. This was for years afterwards. And she then later on developed epileptic seizures. So it was not good. But Alice Faber to this day says, no, that just upended Grandma. My father had started high school in Jersey, and I think it was a high school of 3,000 kids, so just the same as you gotta contend with today. And he landed in Fairview. I don't know how old he was. I am guessing 16. I'm guessing. The whole high school there was 25 kids. And that was a shock, and he dropped out.
Who that?
My dad. He dropped out. And I think part of it was he had to go to work too. But in Jersey, Grandpa was in a bakery. At least 3 of them were employed in factories taking money home. We have a picture of the home they lived in. And there's stuff on this beach that resembles that 2-story thing. But anyhow, that was a shift. Now, a couple of years ago, my brother and I, we wanted to see if we could find where that river bottom farm was. And we took a side road out of Fairview, and we're pretty sure it was on the other side of the railroad track. The river's there. And then we saw the bridge pilings of an old bridge, because we knew that there was a bridge over the Sioux River there. And then there's another driveway there. Ed says, let's go in there. So we went in there, and we bumped into a farmer that had lived there 40 years straight. And he was willing to talk. My brother Ed says, that place up there with that red barn and them two other buildings and that little white house, is that the farm that my grandparents came into? And he says no, because he says if they lived in the river bottom in that decade, this place is only about 30 years old. So he says it can't be that one. But he says up until, I don't know, 35 years ago, he says there was a little farm, set of buildings there, and he says every time it flooded, we had to go down there and get that Norwegian out of there because he just got stubborn and would stay in this place, and we'd have to pick him out or he would have drowned. But anyhow, we're pretty sure where that place was that we came to it. I don't blame my grandmother for not smiling anymore. This business of emigration, that means leaving. You come in here, we call that immigration. Well, in Holland, we went to the courthouse when we were visiting Jan and Ini Rengsma. And I said to Ini, I'd like to go where some records are kept. And she says, well, what village did it come from? Well, Ransomageest. Don't ask me what it means, but that's the way you pronounce it, Ransomageest. And she said, okay, we'll go there, and that will be the Gemeentehuis, which means the people house, the courthouse. And she says, we're going to go in there, and you step in there, and everybody under 35 talks English just like you for perfect English. No dialect, nothing. And we walked up to the desk, and there was a lady there, and I says, do you have any immigration records that go back into the early 1900s? Yes, we do. What's the name? Gave it to her. What decade did they come? Because they keep it by decades. And I said, well, we think try the first decade in the 1900s. And she thumbed through the book. Nope. Well, I says, take the next one. And sure enough, there she found it. There's a full page, beautiful cursive writing. And name, my grandfather, grandmother, oldest, on down like that. And then the date, and then destination, that was North America.
Say the names.
North America.
No, say the names of your grandfather
Oh.
and all.
Yeah, he was Cornelis, and grandmother was Picha
And last name?
Boersma. Then we go down to Sadie Trencha, and another Cornelis, which was the firstborn son. I'm supposed to be John, but I'll tell you about my mother later on naming me. And so on down like that, and destination North America. And the thing that bothers me, is there's a line drawn kitty corner across that page. You're gone. And it's crossed out.
Oh, that means all these people moved away.
That's right.
Oh,
And that line across there means you're gone. And to this day, I think that if I was a Dutchman and moved to North America and went back 60 days later to pick up my last paycheck and sell the car, get rid of the boat, I still think when I would walk into the door, oh, you're Amerikaans. You ain't a Dutchman anymore.
not a Dutchman anymore.
And that's a little bit, I don't like that. But that's it.
Explain that if you are a direct descendant, you could have dual citizenship.
Yeah, there's a wrinkle in the rules there. But isn't that
In
pertaining
Holland.
also to Canadians?
That's in Holland.
Yeah,
That's in
one of,
Holland.
there
You
is-
asked, you went to that other
Yeah.
place.
oh, and then I had some time off one afternoon and I told Grandma, I think you were doing some wash or something. I said, I'm gonna walk over to that courthouse and ask him. I went in there And I said, I'd like to talk to somebody about immigration. I said, what it takes to move to Holland. Oh, I looked at you and she said, well, you go to that desk.
You say, why would you do that?
No, and then I says to her, what does it take to move to Holland? I said, you got some stuff going here that I really like. Why would you want to do that? That's her big. Why would you want to do that? We talked a little while and I left. But I can see now, after being in Holland for a month and melding around a little bit, I can see why I am the way I am. It's you don't fly up and down. You want stuff pretty stable. I lean a little bit towards socialism, and you don't like a lot of surprises and adventure and stuff. So Ma says that I kind of reflect some of that. No, she is not. Like I say, I'm pretty proud of my father. I'm also very thankful that I was born into a Christian family and with Christian grandparents. I never knew anything else. And yeah, that makes a difference in many ways that you look at life and look at the Bible and stuff like that. I'll talk more of that later. Also in these families, my father and mother, their tribes, very little alcohol. Some of the men smoke. I saw my father smoke one cigarette. That was a wedding chivalry. A chivalry is a celebration after a wedding. Go to the country, to their home. Everybody was farmers anyhow. We go to the country, and then we would have a big lunch there,